that. Okay, people have had any other questions? Yeah.
Questions. First, can you repeat my question?
All right, I'll repeat your question. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
Second question, which were the type 1 hypervisors that you looked at?
We haven't looked at it. We've looked at what are the type 1 hypervisors that we've looked at? To say the truth, I don't recall the names because we haven't actually started doing any work with them. I just know that there are 2 of them out there, So if you go Google type 1 hypervisor for laptop or desktop, they'll pop up. I just don't remember the names off the top of my head. Yeah, yes, sir.
You said that RDP you looked at, and what were the problems with it that you faced?
Pardon?
What weren't the problems?
Oh, yeah. Well, so the question is, what were the problems with RDP when we looked at RDP? It's just it doesn't do as well in terms of the video piece, and it's chattier than ICA in terms of how much it has to go back and forth between the machines, and it just wasn't as efficient as ICA was with respect to moving keyboard, video, mouse. Yeah. So. Yes.
Have you found that incident detection is easier with virtualization?
The question is, have we found this incident detection being easier? Define what you mean by incident detection. So we're talking about the same thing.
Well, in terms of finding if intrusion attempts.
Well, like I said, since we have such a small footprint with this stuff, I don't have an answer because we haven't noticed anything specific in the 60 or so users that we've got, or 120 or so users that we've deployed so far. So we're running the same tools in this environment, with the exception of desktop backup and full disk encryption that we would normally run on any of our other laptops. In other words, the IPS, the IDS, the firewall, all that stuff is still running in that environment. As far as I know, we haven't had anybody try to actually attack that particular environment. So, how am I doing on time? Oh, 10:52. Okay, go ahead.
What has been the cost of Citrix? Because I know Citrix can add up quite a bit with licensing and everything. So how does that scale with doing fat clients versus benefits?
I hate to talk cost because of the fact that who I work for and how big we are. We don't, we get numbers different than most other people do. But if you add the whole thing up, we've got to get to the point where we're deploying. Over the last 6 years, we spent around $600,000, maybe close to $750,000 in just doing this work. Okay, if you put the whole thing together, when we deal with the ROI and all that stuff, we've got to get to the point where we've got to deploy this out to about 2,500 desktops before it starts making money or before it starts actually saving us a lot of money to make it worthwhile.
From 60 to how many?
We're going to scale from, if we get my way about it, we'll scale from 60 to about 10,000. Yeah, and that's just in my business area. Other business areas are watching real close what we're doing. So ultimately, this could scale from, scale up to 100,000 plus.
Awesome.
Yeah. So about 7 more minutes. Any other questions? Yes.
Thinking back to the beginning of your presentation, you're describing some of the attacks that you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
This might feed back into the incident question where, with a population of 60, you might not be able to say, but as you scale this up, how are you picturing that this is going to help address that problem that you described with the USB drive migrating around and collecting data?
In that particular instance, I'm sorry. I was waiting for one of those. I haven't got one all day. Anyway, I'm not going to remember the question. The question was how do we anticipate this is going to impact our the number of instances we see, or incident response type thing if we deploy this with respect to the USB things. One of the things about the way this is deployed is that even if somebody does come in and somehow, say a guy walks in with a USB drive, plugs it into one of the thin clients, it infects that particular image. When he logs off, that image is blown away. So anything that goes with any changes that were made to that particular image are gone now. They're flushed, and when he logs back in, he gets a brand new image. Okay. So that's the real draw there. Is the idea is that look, we're gonna start basically resetting the machines back to a known good state at least once every 24 hours. Okay, so your exposure is if you've got 24 hours, if you've got a bug, you've got the bug for 24 hours.
Didn't you have some sort of data persistence related to profiles you said?
Yes, it's the user profile. It's things like bookmarks. It's all the things about you in a Windows environment that make the machine know you're you, that it's unique to you.
Cookies?
No cookies.
JavaScript? Anything?
No, none of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about files like documents, folders?
Those go off on their normal storage. Okay, so they'll in our environment we basically have a desktop. We have a U drive. It's a home directory, and that's where all the data storage is done, is on the home directory. They're not allowed to store anything obviously store anything in the image because we blow the image up.
Also, what about things that can live in those documents?
Well, again, I can't. That's not the problem I'm trying to solve. Okay.
I understand.
Again, but you run. The question is, what about things that could live in the documents? Again, we're still running antivirus, right? We're still doing all the normal basic blocking and tackling things that you do on any normal desktop. So if if a 0 day is going to slip through, it's going to slip through. Okay. That's not the problem I was trying to solve.
But you're still centralized. But you're still centralized on your antivirus, and you're centralized.
Yeah, all of the normal enterprise tools. The comment was we're still centralized. Yes, all of our normal enterprise tools are still centralized. We're still running a centralized everything with respect to maintaining that desktop.
You don't have a client running around 5-month-old definitions.
Right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Everybody's virus definitions are up to date, just like a normal fat client setup. All right. Anyway, thank you. And that's me if you need